4, 3. Welcome everyone to this very first Q&A of the Blender 2.8 Code Quest. We are live from the Blender Animation Blender Studio in Amsterdam. It's 6:40 p.m. My name is Pablo Vázquez.
My name is Dalai Felinto.
Yes.
This is the new Blender Institute, not only...
No, it's not an institute. Let's not confuse people.
Sorry.
So, well, everything is here now. You just call it the Blender Studio, basically, because there's the institute, the foundation is right there because we are in Tom's office, basically. So, yeah, we're here.
So we have a nice view, which we don't have usually, but that's okay. It's fair. It's warm.
It's the boss. So, yeah, and actually because the other room behind the camera is full of developers. They are working there tirelessly on what is the Code Quest. It's been a crazy first 2 weeks. This is the end of the second week of the Code Quest. The first one was mainly planning, but the second one, it's been crazy in the sense of...
It's mostly design this week, if I have to say.
Yeah, well, design.
Some big topics, but also a lot of design.
Yeah.
So then we can have the third week with planning. And
actual
actually
planning.
See where things fall.
Yeah.
For 2.8 and the Code Quest.
And the Code Quest. So the way this is going to work is this is a live stream, so we're gonna be taking questions live, of course. Otherwise, what's the point, right? At the beginning, we're going to cover the topics that happened during this couple of weeks, and then the second half or whatever is left, we're gonna answer the questions that you ask in the chat. In order to make it easier for us to spot those questions, at Blender developers, so that way we can they highlight in the search and in the chat, and we can see them. That's it. Otherwise, because so many questions, then
I have fans. Thank you, 3R Tom.
You have. Okay, let's not get distracted with the comments
it's
yet.
Sad. I'm the idol and savior. Thank you. That touched me. You're welcome.
All right. So there are already some messages talking about Blender Internal. Yes. Okay, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, but that's not yet. First, I would like to, yes, everybody that is here probably is following already the videos. And I mean, if you're in this channel, you probably have seen the video logs that we've been doing so far.
Do they know what's a Code Quest?
What is a code? Yeah, that's a very good question.
That's a
so,
good one.
Blender 2.8 Code Quest is the first of its kind, not only for 2.8, but in general, like for Blender itself.
And it's the first time you have that many developers
together
in the same place.
Yes.
First time ever.
Yes.
Since ever.
So, the closest this has been to a Code Quest has been in 2.5 already 10 years ago, around 10 years ago for the Blender 2.5.
Where were you 10 years ago, Pablo?
I was working in Frankie. I was using 246, Blender 246. Yeah. And we were making Frankie, the first and only open game using the Blender game engine by the Blender Institute. That, speaking of the Blender game engine, okay, we shouldn't get sidetracked, but first, okay, the Code Quest is this gathering of developers in one place to work on Blender and getting Blender, in this case, Blender 2.8 in beta release. So all these developers already work online in different topics. They're like the owners of different areas within Blender, but working online, if you want to have a discussion or something, it usually takes weeks or like at least a few hours, back and forth, and then maybe there's time zone problems, so you have to wait another day. And being here,
especially for design, if you need someone to draft something quickly and go and iterate back and forth, we shouldn't have. I don't know any good online, collaborative tool set to use.
Well, they probably are, but they're not open source, and we only use open source.
I was going to say that we do use Skype, but that's not open source. There's no open source face-to-face software. Anyways, my point is, we actually do voice over IP communication. With videos and all that, but that's different. That's different from being here and be able to poke someone.
It's different, and also being 8-9 hours per day is close here, like working on something. It's
having one physical whiteboard where everyone can see and everyone can check what's to be done and what's left. So it's fun. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, I hope you don't get to hear Tony shouting in the background. But let's continue. We are here together to talk about what happened in the Code Quest in the last couple of weeks. So the first week was very strange, right? Like it was setting up and getting to know each other and the meeting and
assembling furniture a little bit.
Assembling
trying to get the Wi-Fi password
to work.
There was the first video kind of covers some of it. If anyone hasn't seen it, it's really cool. You actually did a good work.
Yeah, I know the guy who made it. So I've been making these video logs where I show from my perspective, and not a developer, but just showing from outside, like going and asking what's everyone doing, and just covering a little bit of what's going on right here.
My mom loved the video.
You loved the video?
She did.
Nice.
My father as well, yeah.
She's got the Latino accent.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, so it was a bit of an introduction. Just you can see it on this channel, but basically it's a voiceover where I just go and talk about what's going on, what happened. The last week I made two video logs. The first one was just an introduction. Okay, what's going on, and the second video that I made was meet the team. Finally get to know, because just to put names to the faces, right?
Because you forgot to put the names.
Because it doesn't make sense to show someone.
But that as well.
And then if you don't know, like if there is no introduction, it's just like a credits of a crappy 90s sitcom. They are doing something and the names below, but they don't say anything.
Jesus, I'm with the same T-shirt in the video just shown. That's amazing now.
Dude, well, you should invest in some of that.
I just brought 2 weeks worth of T-shirts to wear here, so I have to cycle them through.
Cycle them, okay.
Carry on.
Yeah, well, carry on. Yes, I will carry on. So, the first week, as you can see in the video, was mainly meetings, right? There were like up to 5 or even more meetings per day. How did it feel?
Definitely more. Luckily, no one had to attend all of the meetings.
Yeah.
So it was tiring. We had the usability workshop in December 2016, so last year-ish, and it was already tight. It was 3 weeks of discussions. You were there, 3 days of discussions, sorry, and it was already really exhausting. But now we had a full week here. That means we didn't have to push so hard, and yet I think it's just as tiring to actually make sure everyone's on the same page. Make sure the thing that people didn't agree so much, but we're okay with, are actually explicit, and then you can actually decide whether to change the agreed on design, or to move on and do something different. And we changed a lot of the previous design. So if you go to the code.blender.org post, we did post a few months ago, 6 months ago I think, a whole Blender 2.8 code design document.
Yes.
And I'd say a lot of this changed already. The way workspaces are supposed to work, the whole idea of draw modes, they're kind of back from 2.7. I think a lot of people are going to be happy with these. Yeah,
I think the changes that happened there for a greater good.
What else? So it's really cool. William was the one saying that. William is a known animator and artist. He contributed to previous Blender open source projects, Sintel, Big Buck Bunny, and so on. He's here to help as a usability designer. He was saying that he was a little bit concerned because usability and design as a whole is not something you can just paste on top of the implementation. It has to be thought from the beginning.
Yes, core.
So I was really concerned about, if maybe all the designs are already set in stone and very advanced, what's left for to be done here. And he just told me that he was really happy that we're changing a lot of stuff, we're absorbing a lot of his input and doing something together. So we're having that many people for that long. It's really an opportunity to get things right on track altogether.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy to have William here. He's working all day and going to talk with everyone, so it's a good connection between everyone. I think it's very nice.
Yeah. It looks a bit like a Ken. There is a Dungeon and Dragon thing, like always happy and so energetic. I love it.
Nerd. Okay, so that was the first week. The first week was all about planning. It was just Well, not even planning. It was mainly okay. What's feasible to do during the Code Quest? What is not? But it's better maybe just to do it afterwards. Each one at home, and yeah, basically just the deliverables of the Code Quest. And this week was mainly about getting to work.
Oh, people can't see it. Can they?
Oh, so what is that? Oh, that's the meeting. No, I can because it's depth of field.
There's a meeting notes.
There's the meeting notes, which are gonna be in the shape of an email or
an email to BF committers.
BF
committers,
committers.
As we did last week as well.
Yeah, there is a mailing list that is called BF committers that contains the meeting notes for every week and other discussions regarding.
Cause that's a good point because we're here talking, face to face in person here. However, we still are trying to make sure that everything we discuss and talk about is still available in public. It's still open for feedback from different people. So we do have our internal mailing list just to say, we need more milk or chocomel or whatever. But we try to keep using the old IRC channel that every developer still use. And so on, the mailing list.
Because here in Amsterdam, there is only a fraction of all the developers involved in Blender development and even in core staff. So it's important to keep everyone
involved.
On track. Involved.
Not only informed, but also involved.
Yeah, involved in the meetings, discussions, everything. For the Code Quest, we could only get a certain amount of people. So a lot they're still working from home, but still connected. And also for end users, for anybody that wants to see what's going on and where Blender 2.8 is going, I think it's important to keep everybody on track, because Blender development is super transparent. It happens mainly in this and developer.blender.org, and now in this YouTube channel and on Twitter, #B3D is always having Blender development news, and Facebook even. Everywhere. We are really trying to push the communication side of it.
So about the second week, maybe?
About the second week, yes.
So I would say it was a lot of design. So while we had a lot of meetings in the first week, the second week, we had a lot of more specific design meetings where you'd sit together with Pablo, you or Aurelian, and try to think about the UI, and not only the UI, but how to actually land a working workspace. Or what do you mean when you say that you're going to have a Workbench engine that's going to be fast for playback and useful for everyone? What does that include on that? I would say almost every project here actually had a sound design discussion this week.
Yes, there was design for everything.
Yeah. Because we wanted to do the planning, we wanted to have a final planning for the Code Quest today, but since so many things required some design, we actually decided to hold it back a little bit. We can show that you probably have a picture of the whiteboard at some point.
Not at hand.
Not at hand.
I'm on my laptop.
Okay, that's okay. But basically, you say let's make sure everything has a design, so then we can think about the implementation, so we can plan then. Otherwise, it's a bit vague just to assume, okay, it's going to take 1 week to do something we don't even know how it's going to look like. So I'd say that's actually also means we also took the time this week to based on old technical depth. This is a known term for things that we always wanted to do for the 2.8, but takes time and energy, which includes removing a core part of Blender that had a great usage. Help me out here. I don't want to start the polemics.
Full screen. If I could, I would zoom on your face now. Okay.
Let me prepare here.
Prepare. Yes. So. It's after work. That's why we're having a so.
And we're over 18. Carry on.
Yes. So yes, in order for the development to happen in a more clean way, there are areas in Blender that are holding back development of Blender in general. Or just abandoned, and they don't have any development. So some parts have to be removed, or for a better replacement in the future. Some of them. One of them, the first one to go, on Tuesday.
No, it took me 2 days to do it.
Wednesday.
And then I committed. So maybe it was Tuesday night or Monday. No, it was Wednesday morning.
regardless, it's gone. It's over. The date is...
The Blender game engine is no longer.
In Blender 2.8.
In Blender 2.8. It's still there in 2.7. It's a great feature. I personally have used it a lot.
Well, you wrote books about it.
I wrote a book because
we're not trying to plug anything. Actually,
it's probably sold out, so you won't lead it anywhere.
Oh, sorry, it's sold out.
But I professionally. I pay my bills for years. For a few years actually, using the Blender game engine professionally with science visualization. You saw some of those, like fish underwater, scientific
I know.
Cosmic sensation domes.
I think everybody, I started using Blender because of the game engine. I am here because of the game engine, because I came for YoFrankie the very first time, 10 years ago. So we're all deeply connected.
10 years ago, well, in June 23rd, was when I did my first patch to Blender, when it was first accepted. And it was a Blender game engine
What's a game engine?
Was.
Dude, this is so many...
So it's
It's not easy. It's not easy to...
And as a developer, I started with the Blender game engine. My first paid job in Blender was to implement fisheye in the Blender game engine. So it's not like we don't like the Blender game engine. It was part of, of so many people, so many lives here. Campbell, Inventoin, and all that. But we had to. It was in a way quite orphan. It wasn't being well maintained.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense. We're refactoring the whole drawing system in Blender 2.8. It was in a way getting on the way. That doesn't mean we can't get some interactive functionality in Blender 2.8. We have plans for that. It just means that for now, people that are relying on the Blender game engine, they just need to stick to the 2.7.
Yeah.
As we stick to 2.49 for how long?
Yeah.
For way too long.
Or use there are alternatives too. The people at AppGE are developing it. Armory is also being developed. There is Godot. It's very super active development. Is very promising, and they are even working on the integration, an add-on for Blender to Godot. So
they support. I think they even support the Eevee shaders.
Shaders.
I remember seeing on their Twitter a long time ago.
Wow.
That's Godot.
So there are options. Unreal is also free to use. There are options out there. So I don't think it's in the same position that it was many years ago, that it was one of the few big open source game engines.
That said, it actually trended on Reddit, on the Reddit game dev subreddit was like the first one, with 600 something likes and people are taking it well, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Twitter is a more complicated platform because some people really had very strong opinions against the removal, but they were removed for technical reasons only. We all cared about game engine.
Yeah.
We wouldn't just dispose of it just in spite.
Yeah.
No, that's enough about game engine.
That's about. So there was another removal that happened this week. That one.
There are three actually.
What? Oh yeah. There is the third one, but still a surprise, not committed yet.
Okay.
We're gonna mention it. The second and most deepest. I mean, I almost feel bad for the game engine because it's so big that this other thing, Blender internal renderer, is gone from Blender 2.8.
Forget. Well, yeah.
So it kind of stole the game engine's thunder. It's like
what's
took the tension away from it.
The original goal of Eevee was to be able to open a Sintel file made in Blender internal and just rendered in real time.
Wow.
That was the original goal. Yeah,
Sintel, Sintel is not it is Blender internal, but it's a fork of the Blender internal in the render 20. The branch is called Render 25.
That's a process
that has global illumination. So that's.
But Eevee has global illumination, and
I know.
So it'd be possible and doable. However, people started to consider Eevee as a replacement for Cycles. Not Blender Internal.
Oh yeah, that's not gonna happen. People are tweeting no, please don't remove Cycles. No, Cycles not going anywhere.
It's going nowhere.
No, don't worry.
But it's kind of cool how in the beginning of the project we are still considering we were to replace the Blender Internal with Eevee, and I would just say, what, Blender Internal is in a way is not even it's not even relevant anymore given the alternatives. You can say that.
Yeah, given the alternatives. Okay. But still, there are many things that Eevee doesn't have that Blender Internal has. Especially the volumetrics in Blender Internal are super fast, or freestyle support on Blender Internal.
It's supported in Eevee. Or it should be. If not, it's a bug you can fix.
Okay.
But it's supported.
What about the Toon Shader from Blender?
Well, you know what? If you look at Zelda, the game of the year of last year, Nintendo, should have sponsored it.
That was the sound of the Switch.
They sponsored. It's a PBR-based pipeline. So it's a game, real-time, Toon-styled character, and yet use a PBR pipeline. So, it's no Toon shader. Yet, with what we have, even you can already do a lot of cartoon and stylized render.
So with Eevee, you could make a Zelda
Breath of the
Wild looking render.
Yeah, well, I would say so. Yeah, well,
with the actual shaders, the ones you're using with the principal VSDF or in the...
I don't know what they use.
No, but you could. We have.
You could. I'd say that. Okay. Yeah, you could.
That's a good target. What about baking in Blender Internal? That was used a lot for it.
Yeah, it was. We have baking for cycles since 2014 already. That's on time.
Yes.
And that's supposed to replace most of the old bake pipeline for Blender Internal. We don't have baking for Eevee yet. We still don't know if it makes sense to have because it's a real-time engine. So, are you baking for what? For what platform? Maybe 3D printing.
In a way, it would be much faster than cycles, right? So if you could do it in Blender Internal for speed, then maybe Eevee is a good replacement.
So
then there are a few features that are also missing from cycles baking. But everything that is missing from there that you could do in Blender Internal should be...
Things like the vertex painting baking, for instance. Yeah. It's going to be supported.
Okay.
For sure. Displacement baking. There's one of those very specific multi-resolution baking. It's going to be supported as well. It's already a task in the CodeQuest workboard.
Okay.
Don't worry. So,
nice.
So in that sense, people should be okay.
Cool. Amazing. So... Okay, so you answered most of my questions. That's pretty good. Okay, so Blender Internal is gone, but it will be missed for sure. But it's in good hands. Blender Eevee is gonna take over of many of the fast ways to render.
You know what we don't have?
What?
The old panoramic camera of the Blender Internal, the one they implemented for Elephant Ring.
Yeah.
In Elephant Ring, you have this one shot.
The intro
really
shot.
wild.
The intro shot. Or not?
No,
I know the one with the thing.
And really
the
wide
weird
camera.
one.
Yeah.
The only weird one.
I love the one. It's a very strange panorama because it just split things vertically. This we don't have, and maybe you won't have it. But I'd love to have some kind of fisheye or for Eevee. I'd love to at some point be able to do it, or someone can do it. It'd be lovely to have.
Yeah.
So some things we can't just replace. It's hard.
Yeah.
But that's how it works.
Yes, and not having Blender Internal, which also didn't have any new features for a while, will give more time for the developers to actually make new stuff, and we will give it more, it's more fun also because you're working with new code. You don't have Blender Internal was spread all over Blender basically, so this will give them
the game engine as well.
The game engine even. So
I thought it was really going to be like 1 hour work just to remove the Blender game engine files and the building files.
Yeah.
But then we have navigation mesh inside Blender. We have level of detail. We have in the image editor game properties like repetition, the clamping options.
Tiles option in the image editor. That's
for
gone.
sprite. That's gone. That's one isolated commit. Can bring it back, but it was really for the game. We have there's one constraint that's gone as well. It's a rigid body joint.
Yeah.
iTask is something that's been implemented for robotic arms. Had Blender game engine specific settings.
Yeah.
We had to remove those. So it's all over Blender as well.
And there was another feature that is affecting the rigs from Blendrig. Like Blendrig rigs are, for example, the ones from Spring, the ones from the Caminandes. Hero. Not Hero.
No.
Not Big Bug Bunny, but Cosmos Laundromat and DH and 327. So these files these rigs are linking in a very hacky way a Python file that makes some magic in there. So the way it was being linked, it was by adding a logic brick to the object, like a game engine logic brick that will have that file, and then when you link the armature, it will come with it. So it was a hack, but there is a solution. So those won't work because it's missing the file. But there is a solution.
Sergey was the one that came up with the solution.
It's another hack, but it's a more...
You pick a property that you don't really need. For instance, the render pass for armature, because armature won't be rendered, so it's okay. You add a driver to this property. Then in the driver, you add a new variable that's basically a text property. So you go to the ID type of the data block, you pick the text, and you're not doing anything, but you're just linking the object, the armature, with the text data block.
Yeah.
So every time you link the armature,
it will come.
the text comes as well. It's a hack as well.
Yeah, but it's a nicer hack. So Juan Pablo Bosa, author of Renrig, if you're watching, update your rigs for Spring to be ready for Blender 2.8.
You actually broke, we broke Spring.
Yeah, but Spring is not using Blender 2.8 yet. It's going to use it in less than a month, so it's still very tight.
May 18th or so.
We do have a date, but I didn't want to give it.
I didn't
just
give
in
it.
case we don't make it. But yes, it's less than a month. Yeah. So
it's been half an hour.
Yes, is it? Wow. Yeah. Okay, so we've been through all the removals. There is the third removal that we were mentioning before is an editor. Is the timeline is gone because for good. It's not gone actually. The editor itself is gone, but it's merged into the dope sheet. So it will just look like the timeline, but you will be able to edit the keyframes inside, which is it's an amazing feature that people have been asking forever. And Joshua Long, also known as Allegorith, is working on it, and I think it's almost ready. He's gonna push it now. Or
I thought he had committed already.
I think no, yeah, maybe, or if it's probably there. And another merge that happened this week is the top bar. So the ability to have the workspaces instead of a drop-down menu in the tabs in the top has been added to Blender 2.8. Still a work in progress. There are many things that need to be worked on, especially now. The more obvious one is that they are sorted by alphabetically. Yeah. It's not gonna be that way because they jump. It's just weird. So they're gonna be. You will be able to sort them and edit them, and yeah, it's gonna be better. But
multi-object editing was merged this week.
Multiple object editing was added this week.
There's a video about that.
There is a video. Yes. I made a video about it. You can find it on this channel. But basically, you can select two objects and move them around.
I think that's all, really.
Us all.
No, because I have the paper here.
Yes. So basically, deletion of the Blender game engine, deletion of Blender internal, multi-object editing. You can select multiple objects and edit them at the same time.
And pose as well for fighting. It's fantastic.
Yes. Top bar. The workspace in the top bar, it was added to Blender 2.8. The timeline now, you can move the keyframes inside the timeline. It's been a fantastic week, I think.
Hectic week.
No, it's
hectic week.
Hectic. No, hectic. It's been an amazing week for the Cult Quest. I think it's very, a lot has happened. And it's just the second week. Crazy. How many do we have left? 4, 8, 10, 11, 12? Something like that. We still have so much time.
I live in the last week of June, but...
Don't. I'm gonna cry.
It's gonna be the World Cup. Gonna be home watching the games.
The World Cup.
Find something to do.
Oh, because your team is in the World Cup, unlike the Dutch.
All right. Or the Italian.
Or the Italian, poor Italians.
Poor Francesco, help us. Come
on. It's time for the questions. We already talked enough. Let's ask you the questions. So I'm going to just scroll the way up to where we were, and I'm going to go through the questions that are highlighted in orange, which are the ones that are mentioned. So I'll try my best to not skip it, but sometimes YouTube is weird and it just jumps all the way down. So let's find orange. Nice. Thank you for the rocket emojis. All right, so first question. Will we get better and proper reflections for Eevee in render mode, not even just in render mode, not in the viewport. Proper reflections as in what?
No, I wonder. I don't know. I just wonder if I don't know what they're looking at, so I don't know if I had to behave. We will get better. Well, I don't think I'm not doing the code quest. I believe. Maybe so I should ask Clement. Maybe later, yeah. There's a document that Clement posted on the BF Committer webpage, mailing list, with a little bit the roadmap he expects for Eevee during the code quest. A lot of optimization, and he did say that he doesn't want to add anything new until you actually finish and polish what we have already. Maybe reflection can be considered polishing. He's working, today he was working denoising for the viewport animation.
Denoising, awesome.
Yeah, because it's all, when you're playback the animation, when you're just editing and rotating something, there's so much noise in your face.
Yeah.
It was a little bit too distracting, so he spent the whole day and just getting there. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. So, okay, next. When will Blender 2.8 be released?
We can talk about the beta.
Yeah, the beta will be released in
July.
August. Wait, August.
August. Well, during the SIGGRAPH, the goal is to, since there is SIGGRAPH every year, this main computer graphic conference, it would be nice to have a really stable-ish 2.8 for people to demo. We did it last year. People were really enjoying it, and they play with Eevee and everything. But now I think we can have something more close to the final 2.8.
Yes. So August, there will be a beta. The final release to be announced, but probably towards the end of the year, maybe after the Blender conference, for the Blender conference or for Christmas, who knows? As soon as possible, basically. Next.
What happened?
When is planned to move from Blender 2.8 to Trunk instead of a branch, or to Master?
Do you know that?
Yes, I know that answer.
Go for it.
The plan, so we are working here at the new office of the Blender studio, and there is another team working in the old office of the Blender studio in the south. What happens, Amsterdam is split between, there's a river and has the north and the south, and in the south there is the people working on Spring, the open movie project. So when they move to this building, they will, from the moment they cross the door, they will have to start using 2.8. That's the target, and that will happen on the 18th of May, in less than a month.
And then,
hopefully,
yes. And then we wanted even to have 2.8 as the trunk, as master before that, but we thought, you know what? If 2.8 is not ready for our own team, 2.8 is not ready for master either. So that's
it's not like it has to, but at least if it's not ready for the making an open movie project, then it's not ready for the rest of the world to use it, at least as a beta. Even now it's not ready, it's far from ready. But if you're gonna start a production, then actually the production is already going on, so you will have to make some 2.7 files work with it. So that will be pretty interesting. Next. I'm an old Blender modeler and was thrilled to hear this new Workbench engine around. Will there be any changes on the modeling tools inside this engine?
Like what?
In the Workbench engine. No, like modeling tools? No.
Not really. Well, yeah, not really.
No.
Well,
no, the Workbench is all about visualization and the widgets. Maybe there will be some tweaks on the
and for sure you'll be able to edit two objects at the same time. I call this as a big change.
Multi-object, yeah, that's a big change.
And then the cool thing is, since you can edit a lot of them at the same time, they can still have different solid colors. So even though you're working with multiple objects, you can still tell which one is each.
Yeah.
But you can you can like move them together, merge them to a similar distance, snap them together.
All right. I would love that. What? Especially... Okay, there is something that is... I was tagging Blender developers. I'm gonna put here so people know where we're reading. But it was tagging, but it was talking about something else. Okay, since the Blender game engine has been removed, and probably Armory and Verge are the only integrated engines...
What is Verge?
Verge is another game engine.
I never heard of Verge.
Is there some dialogue with these developers to ensure future compatibility?
Well, as mentioned, well, we know Armory main developer Hackley. He was invited for the pre-Blender 2.8 kickoff, 2016. He was in the Blender conference in that year. He were together in the same room. He likes to develop by his own. He has his own patron system by himself. His patron system for people to help sponsor his development. He's even close to open source Armory entirely. I know that.
Oh.
He's just waiting for a little bit more money, pretty much, so that he knows that he can drop everything else he's doing, so he can work full time on that. So, and I think he's already supporting the Eevee shaders.
Wow.
And the same goes for Godot, as I said, Godot.
Yeah.
They already support Eevee as well. So we are open to dialogue. We even talked to Substance Painter developers last year. You remember?
Yeah.
So we're not in the you're not yet reaching out to those projects because there are many. I didn't even know Verge, for instance. But you're always open for people to come and talk to us and see what we can do to make sure everyone's happy.
Yeah. So if you're making a game engine, that is with Blender, of course, so get in touch. All right. What other new features are you working on? New features.
New features.
New features. I think everything is really explained in the CodeQuest, the Blender 2.8 highlights, right?
I'm gonna be repeating ourselves. We're gonna get a static overrides, fully implemented, dynamic overrides, collection overrides, asset manager. It's gonna be so many. I won't listen then.
No. They're all over the place. You can find Blender 2.8 highlights, and there are plenty of the topics that are already being tackled. Grease pencil. Next. Will Eevee have the ability to bake high quality GI lighting?
Maybe it could use cycles for that.
Yeah. Well, for high quality global illumination, maybe it makes sense.
Well, it depends on what they mean. We don't have this idea of light maps in Eevee as you have in some game engines. You know, we do in pre-bakes and light map. We have a few light probes. It's similar, but it's still a little bit different. Baking itself, if you want to export, is not supported in Eevee. Yeah. But I don't think that's kind of baking he's saying.
No.
He or her, I don't know. But it doesn't matter.
Him, I think. Lasilak.
Yeah, so...
Okay. So, yeah?
I don't know. Yes? No, I'll say no. I don't want to promise.
Who was the girl in charge of particles, and where can we follow her evolution?
Oh, Mai.
Yeah, Mai Lavelle.
Mai Lavelle is a North American developer. Whatever she does will still be posted on the Monday weekly Blender developer meetup.
Yeah.
So it's either you can see on IRC Live or you can just wait on the BF committers directly to read the weekly meeting minutes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Next, what OS do you guys use? What operating systems? I think we use a mix of mainly Linux. It's a mix of Ubuntu. There's an Arch Linux user somewhere.
There's Debian.
There is some Windows, no?
There's one Windows, the dual boot for Clément.
Dual boot for Eevee, because you need OpenGL and everything. You need to have. In the Blender Institute, mainly it's all open source. We try to use all open source, but of course, if you have to build a Windows version of Blender, you have to test it. Then you have to have that.
And to this date, the highest download we have in Blender is from Windows users. So
yeah, actually,
right?
Yes, even the 32-bit version that is probably also gonna see its end of life at some point is downloaded more times than the Linux version. So I am a Linux user, but yes, they are majority, of course. Anyway, next. Is it okay to post design tasks on developer.blender.org?
No. To post design feedback to the existing design tasks.
Oh, sorry. Post design feedback.
Of course.
Yes.
We said before, of course. The whole idea, the process, although we do it locally, it's open. There's this classic problem in design. It's called the design by committee. It's a bit complicated, but we always do our best to gather feedback. There's always so much valuable feedback. So, yeah. Please do.
comment, leave. We always ask for feedback, especially when it's interface or like usability related. It's very important to have other people's point of view because we have the experience from open movies and other like commercial stuff, but maybe we can't cover everything. We try to have everything in mind, like architecture, visualization, science stuff.
Yeah, but I'll even give it a. It's talking about design and feedback. The person that's helping most of the new icons now, is Aslam.
Aslam, yeah.
He's doing fantastic work. He's talking with William all the time, and he's not here physically. He's just providing feedback. He just contacted William and said, I want to help with icons, and he had a nice portfolio.
Yeah,
so yeah, let's do it. So thank you, Aslam. Your work is like spectacular.
Yeah, Aslam, you're amazing. Yeah. Next, I am now that the game engine is gone, it means that we will have better integrations with third-party engines like Unity or Unreal.
We are open to
integrate, let's ask. No, don't ask us. Ask the Unity developers and the Unreal developers to have a better connection with Blender itself. Do it the other way around. Ask the big guys to help them.
I remember reading some people a bit afraid because of the Blender internal removal, because a lot of their Unity pipeline with Blender was based on Blender internal materials.
Yeah.
But you know what? Unity has PBR support. Is one of their pipeline options. I don't know if they even do, but they should just support Eevee material as well. So yeah, go ask them.
Yeah. Next. I've tried to because we're still reading from 6. Will the viewport be optimized for sculpting with the dynamic topology? I have a model with more or less 1.8 million triangles and my computer can handle, unlike ZBrush.
Yeah, well, we're doing our best. One of the ideas at 2.8 to refactor the whole drawing system to support optimized drawing for sculpting or object mesh modeling or whatever. So hopefully it's going to be better. I don't know if it's going to be up to pair with ZBrush. I hope it is, but let's see. It's not the main goal of 2.8 though.
Yeah. And there was another question about Unreal Engine, but we just answered it before. Then, what Linux distribution do you use, guys? We already mentioned. Is interactive mode some sort of Blender game engine, actually?
Well, if you think about if you could have in Blender a way to decouple the physics time clock with the regular scene frame. So you can Alt A, but that doesn't change the current frame for your scene. And you can play with this, and this is the initial step for interactive mode. And then imagine you add an event system. So you can click on something or the objects can interact. So this will be enough for most of the artists to work in Blender itself. But then if you take these and then make a standalone deployable player, that you get a game engine. Whatever you call it. It's not a game per se, but it's an interactive mode. That's a little bit the plan.
Next. Are there plans for using Vulkan?
Not at the moment, no. Although we upgraded the whole Blender code for modern OpenGL, so most of the things we do are pretty much compatible with Vulkan. So it's possible, it's doable, just not the core.
Yeah, but the code is ready. It's much more ready than it was before.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Definitely. Next, what about modifiers?
Well, what about modifiers? So there's one modifier that's been supported. Please.
That we like a few hours ago. Maybe you haven't seen it yet, but a few hours ago, 6 hours ago, we just published a video about the first modifier added by Dr. Sivren with some groundwork made by Mail Labelle. And that's the first of many to come next week and the weeks after. It's a lot of work, and first we want to tackle the ones that are more used especially for production. So Spring, for example, the Open Movie project that is super heavy in characters and environments and everything, will need, of course, many of these modifiers. So those will work, and the other will get ported over time.
And hopefully Monday or Tuesday, we're gonna have a call out for anyone willing to help, so developers, to help port the modifiers, because the existing modifiers to the new depth graph. Might be a little bit hard, so maybe do it internally, but we're considering to do a task force for that as well. So yeah, it's on the plan.
Yeah. Another question about baking, if it's gonna get any upgrade soon because it's old.
We mentioned that, no?
Yeah, we already mentioned at the beginning of the live stream. Will we be able to implement new viewport renderers just as we can implement a new render engine in Python?
we want to be able to support that, as we want to be able to support a custom GLS nodes for Eevee, but it's not a core feature for the moment. So we'll see. But it is, if you have for instance, Blender for Web had a fantastic integration with Blender, or have got it. Maybe you should be able to have your engine there, and then to draw the materials as you were expecting them to be.
Yeah.
So it's soft to go.
Yeah. Jefferson asks, is the top bar in the Blender 2.8 branch? Yes, it is, as of a couple hours ago. So maybe the build bot in builder.blender.org maybe hasn't updated yet. It's automatic, so wait. It's
every night only.
It's every night, so wait for tonight and it will be there.
Yeah. The design is still not final.
No, it's far from final. We already mentioned this before, like the dragging and that's
and
still missing.
It has to be bigger and the icon.
And the alphabetical order, and there's a lot to be done, but the groundwork is there. By Julian, Eisel, and Brecht.
Yes, Van Almel.
Yes. Will Eevee support displacement and micro tessellation?
I don't know.
Shall we bring Clement?
Should I bring Clement?
And let's see more. Any chance to see tools like C Remeasure?
In Blender? I don't know what it is. I have no idea what the tool is at. We can't really refer to third-party software.
Yeah, I know.
Due to, it shouldn't. It's our own thing.
It's our own NDA.
Yeah.
No, we don't check on other software, basically. We just try to do our best.
Yeah, ask for specific workspaces for retopology.
Yeah, or ask for the tool itself. Like, what is the Remeasure? I don't know, but maybe by the name, Remeasure sounds like a retopo thing. And actually, specific workspaces for retopology. So
we're going to have well-defined built-in workspaces for most of the core tasks you can do in Blender.
Yeah.
I think retopology is one of them. Maybe,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, so it's a task on its own.
And you can help with feedback, please.
Extended UV projections with mirrored modifiers.
I have no idea what that is.
Hey, that's cheating. That's many questions in one comment. Cheating. Kidding.
Whoa. There's like 4-5 questions. Do they see this page? They do.
Yeah, now they see it. But I was scrolling and then YouTube made the huge jump. So let's...
because now we had all the questions after we started answering the questions.
Yes. Will cycles get out of core feature in 2.8? And maybe GI caching?
What is out of core feature?
Get out of core feature. Another feature, I don't know.
We don't know, sorry.
And GI caching? Or elimination caching?
Yeah, the whole... Jesus, I don't know. So far, the goal for cycles is to work just as 2.7. For 2.8, that's the initial goal, and to unify a lot of the settings with Eevee. So if set sample, it's valid for both of them, depth of field, motion blur. So that's the focus for now, at least.
Yeah. Rockets. Yes, there is around 200 rockets left. In the page, you can see actually there is 216. Let's see if there were... Somebody bought them? No, okay. 216 rockets left. They will go up in price in May, so if you want to get it, hurry up.
10 euros extra every month, right?
10 euros more every month, which means that you're donating 10 euros more towards the Code Quest. It doesn't mean like, it's donation. Basically, the more it takes, the more it's a donation, basically. What other new features are we working on? We already mentioned that. What are you guys working on the next week?
Planning. Let's call it planning.
Let's call it planning. And on Monday you will see the meeting notes, right? The weekly notes, and then you will see it.
They don't see it.
So check on Monday for our Twitter account, Facebook, and everywhere. Next, I will also make a log on Monday. I will make a log number 3. Nice. I'm already committing myself to make it. Will wireframe shading come back?
That's a really good question, but running out of time. No, it's a good one. We are running out of time.
Well, actually, we are running out of time, so I'm going to go...
But I can answer that.
Yes.
Well, the first question is, why do you need wireframes? They are valid use cases, but let's pick a random example. If an animator needs a wireframe so they can select the bones, which is kind of how Healthy does on the Blender Studio, maybe you can actually think before bringing back wireframe on better tools for selecting bonds.
Yeah.
For example.
And not about that is that wireframes are there. Like you can see them on top of Solid. What is not there is the wire, just wires. You know, like that mess of black thing because you can't really tell which wires are in front, which are in back. Doesn't make any sense. So wires are there actually. They are already drawing in edit mode. So it's not like they're not there.
And even better, now they can be there in every single mode. So you can be sculpting and yet see the wires on top of your geometry.
You can be on cycles and see the wires on top of your cycles render in the preview. It's amazing. Yeah. So DS, it's in the list of things to do, but it's more not right now, like immediately right now, because the workbench is being reworked. It's being rewritten from scratch, so every bit is being added one by one. Next. What will happen with displacement materials? For example, a brick wall from cycles, how will the transition be?
I would put it differently. Some nodes just cannot be converted from cycles to Eevee. And then what do you do? If you're, for instance, if you're an animator, and then you took your file that's going to be used for the final rendering, but just want to animate, you can just link your mesh, your armature as you would normally, and then use the Anneal, so-called static override. You might change the name a little bit, library override.
Yeah, something more.
And then you can actually change the material internally to do whatever to be more optimized for Eevee, and won't affect the original file, so you can still use it for the production. That's how we see it at least.
Next, any hints about the next modifiers going to be adapted for 2.8? There is a video.
Armature. No, but the next ones. Does it mention it?
It mentions that like for next week, it mentions already that maybe like the build modifier, because it's different, completely different from the one that is already implemented, that is shown in the video that I posted today. Spoiler alert, it's a simple deform modifier, so it was the simplest case of adding a new modifier. And the idea is to add more modifiers that are pretty different to each other. But of course, next is the actual ones that are going to be used for production, be it armature, mirror,
mesh deform, the big one,
displacement.
No.
Next, will we get real-time ray tracing in Eevee like in Unreal?
Not for the moment. No. Next.
Any chance to see multi-layer painting like Substance Painter? Yes. Like the question is, any chance?
No, yes. Because you can still see the final result in Eevee, and yet be painting the normal channel directly, or maybe two channels. No, it's two channels at the same time. Yeah, it's possible. The moment
completely possible. And the texture node editor, I heard, it's
it went with the Blender Internal.
Yeah, texture node. Yeah, actually.
But maybe you could have some procedural texture node system in Blender.
Yeah.
How about that?
Next. Will the fracture modifier branch be merged into 2.8?
Yes.
Next, will Eevee get more different render passes?
Well, like what?
Render passes.
Well, I don't know if you will get a way for you to see individual render passes in the viewport.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think render passes like AO and screen.
Yeah,
shaders.
like maybe.
Oh no, I think yes, it will.
Will there be next? Will there be a line thickness editor type of thing?
Line thickness
editor. I love the 1 pixel lines in Blender now.
I'm not. I don't. Are you talking about the selection outline? If so, it's a user preference at the moment.
Yeah.
It's a bit thinner. You can set it to be a bit wider before, but I don't know if you're talking about that. Sorry.
Next, what about a cycles preset without any light bounce? Caustics for the ones that that want Blender internal rendering. It's there already. If you remove all the samples, remove the caustics, you get Blender internal.
And you can save your own presets and reuse in your project.
Exactly, there is presets.
So
Cycles has presets.
You just answer your own question.
Yes. Next, are there any new features coming to Cycles in Blender 2.8?
For the third time, I don't know.
Well, yes. I mean, 2.8 is 280 to 289, so there will be. Look at, watch the Blender conference talk from Brecht from 2016 or 17? 16. And there is a roadmap. There is a Cycles roadmap talk there.
And because there are Cycles developers that are not here in the Codecast. So I can totally see, for instance, the noise incoming for Cycles baking.
Yeah.
I know that Lucas was working on that. Lucas talking. So, yes.
Is it possible to roto in 2.8? It will be.
Yeah, I think so.
Next, will the new dependency graph allow us to link in proxies with modifiers? Yes, because the modifiers are object level, so yes, it will.
Yeah, that said, proxies are going for good. You're going to have a better proxy system, but yes, it'd be possible.
Yeah. Next, the new dependence. No, again. What about a new 2D toon shader?
It's possible. We need someone to do it. It's not in the plans right now, but we know that the NPR, non-photorealistic render community, is really strong in Blender. There's a lot of users, and they keep bringing this back, and it's for sure on our site. I don't know when to be implemented, but it's to be considered. Yeah.
To be considered, yes. Next. How will the transition be from displacement on materials for Eevee from cycles?
Okay. For Eevee from cycles. Right now we are doing the same thing we did in 2.7 for cycles viewport, which is to replace, like under the hood, replace the displacement modifier, displacement node with a bump node, and attach it to the node tree. So that's how I do it.
Yeah, basically. Are you guys going to conform Grease Pencil to the rest of Blender, or are you going to keep it familiar for 2D artists? The idea of the Grease Pencil is that it should be easy mainly for the 2D artists that are familiar. They already are familiar with layers, and all of that is already in the Grease Pencil. You should check out the Grease Pencil branch, which is on graphical.org. There's a few builds already, especially for Windows, and the branch will be merged soonish.
The problem you mentioned about palettes being potentially removed is that palettes, thank you, is that Grease Pencil implements palettes in a way very similar to how we implement materials in Blender. And to have it a two separate system means you need to have add material, add palette, remove material, remove palette. Maybe it'll be more intuitive if you can find a unified system for both of them.
Next, something about the workbench and sculpt for improvement of performance. We already talked about that. Again, the 1.8 million triangles question is already there.
You just keep the question about the mini cracks. They're from 998. It's a gift I gave to Tom, and he let me borrow for the duration of the code quest.
Why OpenGL 3.3 and not something more recent like 4.5?
Yeah, we had to draw the line somewhere. 3.3 was the minimum we needed because of some specific features. We do support 4.5 when the computer can use it, as long as it's not something that prevents someone in an old computer to use it as well. So if something in 4.5 or 5, or not 5, in 4.5 is going to make your Eevee viewport faster, you're trying to use it, as long as everything that only a computer that supports 3.3 can do. Yeah.
Okay. Next. And we can start wrapping it up. Will Eevee have view modes like wireframe, shadeless colors, clay render? Yes, that is a workbench engine that is going to use, under the hood, it's going to use Eevee, but it's a workbench engine, basically.
On top, so we're going to have predefined draw modes that you can use regardless of your engine, but also every engine can expose a few draw modes for you to use. So Cycles has the known rendered mode, but it can also have a clay mode. Or a single pass mode where you see in the viewport only the roughness and so on. And same for Eevee. Eevee can have a few predefined draw modes as well. It's like fast. Sorry. Jesus Christ, 7:40
p.m. already.
It's getting dark.
I want to get rid of all the questions.
I'm hungry.
How will we add a modifier in Blender? Like from
same as before.
Same as before. Can Blender run 2.8 run without a GPU?
No.
With Eevee support, will sculpting be able to support cursor that rotates with the model surface?
It's possible within the design scene that it's possible to have that. It's not in the plans yet.
Yeah. Would it be possible to explain what the dependency graph is a bit more?
No.
It's everything. The dependency graph is the heart of Blender that connects every dependency of everything, a material with an animation, with everything. Next. Any news about implementing a new UI?
Yes, this is the so-called Lekker Blender.
The Lekker Blender.
You're going to hear more about this in the future.
Next week. Will there be nodes like substance design? That's already answered. Denoising for baked textures?
Yes, I said, it's someone's working. There's a patch already from Lucas talking on that.
How's it going with the Workbench engine?
Yeah, it's going well. They nailed the design this week and they're starting the implementation.
Yeah, actually, if you download Blender 2.8 now, it has a few new settings for lighting, but it's all work in progress. Armature animation, no, still not supported. Will cycles have a render time improvements in 2.8?
No. Sorry.
No. Use the noise, it's awesome. And I think, okay, there's just so many questions. I don't know how many. Let's start wrapping this.
That was a tricky question.
Which one?
How many questions we answered this week?
Yeah, the last question in the chat is actually how many questions did we answer? I think we answered plenty. We are running out of time. It's already past 1 hour.
The answer is plenty plus one, because that's the question that he asked. Anyway, so
let's call it a day, because otherwise we can't. Thank you for tuning in. We will be doing this again,
if they like.
If you like, if you like this,
if you literally like the video,
give it a thumbs up, so that way we know if you like it or not. Because otherwise, no, it's a Friday. It's 8 p.m. on a Friday.
Jesus Christ. At least we can
yeah.
chill a little bit.
It's
not very
it's
strict.
pretty chill. It's not like, but
No?
yeah. Thank you again for being around, for supporting the Code Quest. This couldn't happen without the community. If you look at the stats of the Blender 2.8 Code Quest campaign, you will see that the community is twice as much as we were expecting. We were expecting just a part and then sponsors, but actually the community took over that and is investing way more than the sponsors even. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're making this happening. I hope we're communicating this well, and expect more.
Until next time, yeah.
Until the next
Thank you very much.
time. There is same channel, same time, maybe in 2 weeks. Stay alert for all the news that will be happening here on Twitter and Facebook. That's it.